You are looking at the Just Flight British Aerospace 146-100 in lovely Air Wisconsin colors at Chicago O'Hare. How you doing, everybody? CJ here. I'm your classic jet sim pilot, and our last sort of regular release video was in this same airframe, but it was an airpack flight. And today I thought I would we'd load up in O'Hare and do a route typical to the 146, which is to Green Bay, Wisconsin, going up to the North Woods. So let's get the ball rolling and have fun. Still learning a lot about this bird. It is an absolute ride to fly, and once again, I want you to take notice. No INS. No GPS. We're gonna do it the old-fashioned way, and it's something I wanna demonstrate because it's really not as challenging as one would think, and it can be extremely satisfying. But before I do, hey, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell so you know when I put something out. This lets me know what you all like to see, what works, what doesn't work, and I want to keep this channel growing. I want to spread the love for classic commercial flying, and I'm just having a ball, and I want more people to experience these classics because they are a bunch of fun. So we'll start by making sure the radar is off. Tilt it up 15 degrees just so we don't irradiate anybody. Transponder is on standby. Air brake is up. Flaps. Air brake is in. Flaps are up. And we'll go ahead and get the battery going. We've got good voltage 1 and 2. Turn on the batteries. We'll get the nav lights. Turn them to high intensity since it is so late. We'll get the no smoking sign on. And the cabin emergency lights go to auto. Back down here, landing gear. The handle is down. We got 3 green lights. Brake selector is on the yellow hydraulic system and the brakes are set. Go back up here to the master, the miscellaneous panel, and we'll get the 5 master switches on. Avionics, autopilot, and the yaw damp will all be on. Anti-skid goes on, and the lift spoilers go on. The bus ties go to auto. The standby generator, inverter and generator get armed. Gen 1 and Gen 4 are in off reset. The APU gen we can turn on. The left inner fuel pump will go on, and we will start the APU. Got good rotation. Let that start up. It's a really cool airplane, isn't it? Love this 146. Just Flight does such an amazing job. And coming up soon, probably within the next month or so, maybe 45 days, is the Fokker, the F100 and F70 are going to get released. APU air goes on. And the packs. Today is odd, so we'll turn on pack 1. We'll test the master warning system. They are all on. We'll check the dimmer. back out to the middle. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's check that again. That's why you got to cancel it. Nah, you can dim it. There they go. And then the dimmer override should bring them back up. Back down. We can then bring the brightness back up. Put that in the middle position. All right. And then, let's see, we already got, oh, here we go. Yep. So let's check the hydraulic checks. We'll put the DC pump, well, let's check the brake pressure. So right now the brake pressure is about 2,500. We'll put the DC pump on. We will not get a rise out of anything here, but that needle should have budged. And then we can turn on the AC pump. That should get a rise. There it is. And then when we turn on the PTU, that should power up the green hydraulic pump. Excellent. I can turn the engine anti-ice on. That helps the engines during start. And then the flight deck emergency lights can go on, or go to arm. And the yaw damper goes on. We'll come over here to our EFB. O'Hare to Green Bay. Leave it on the METAR here. Aircraft, import. Let's go to instant refueling. Start. Let's go to people, instant boarding, start. And tech log library emergency going gear levers down, radars off, is in or in standby, transponders in standby, air brake is in, flaps are up and indicating up. Circuit breakers are set, nav lights are on, bats are on and checked, standby gear indicator, we have pressure at 3 greens, brakes are yellow in park, mass switches are on, ground ignition is set, anti-skid and lift spoilers on and checked, bus ties are in auto, standby inverters armed and checked, standby generators are armed, gens 1 and 4 off and reset, APU gen is on, fire handles are in, engine fire loops we did not test but we know they're working, ground test is complete. APU is started. Gear indicator is still in 3 greens. Master warning system is checked. GNS we don't have. Overhead annunciators are tested in norm. Cabin emergency lights are set to arm. Air conditioning is set with 1 pack. Hydraulics are checked. DC pump is tested. AC pump and PTU is on and checked. Thrust levers, well, they're checked. Thrust levers config checked. Oh, we didn't do that. Why am I not getting that? Let's check controls real quick. So those are set. Let me check one other thing. Activate profile. Let's resume. There we go. Okay. Config is checked. Thrust levers config checked and off. Man and electric PIMs are checked. AC pump PTU are off. Ignition's off. Anti-ice is on. Heaters are off. Wing and tail ice protection is off. Engine air is off. Flight deck emergency lights checked and arm glare shield. Annunciators are tested. Instruments are checked. Center panels checked. Control disconnect. Yaw dampers are both in. Yep. Autopilot's off. Freight is checked. Freight smoke. Avionics are checked. Data recorder's checked. Oxygen is on. Alright. So let's go ahead and get everything set up here. Okay, so today our route of flight is going to take us out of O'Hare to Northbrook, which is 113.0. So we'll start there. 113.0. Let's turn that on. And we're going to catch this airway. 347. So 347 will be so we'll set our course to 347. And that'll be out of Northbrook. Or at least we'll make a turn and intercept this after departing O'Hare, because O'Hare is departing runway 9 right. So we'll taxi up to 9. We'll make the left turn after departure, and we'll intercept that airway. Let's see, 347, 16,000 feet. So course, we'll go ahead and set first officer's course the same. Our next VOR, that's Victor 191 up to Badger, which is 116.4. We'll set that in the number 2 radio. .163, 343 will be number 2, and we'll also set our heading bug roughly to runway heading here. Okay. So the parking brake is on, thrust levers are off, hydraulics are off. Center tank transfer can go to auto. Pressurization, we're going to 16,000 feet. So we can go to right about there. Discharge valves are in normal. Alt set, we have in cruise, auto, normal. Cruise. Actually, I like to set it 1,000 feet above our cruise. Ice detection we can bring on. Fuel quantity is, let me check it against the release. Our release says we should be departing with 12,454 pounds of fuel. Yeah, so it's about half that because this is only in kilograms, unfortunately. Transponder, we're going to leave on 1,200 and we'll turn to, well, we'll make it 2,000 since we're going to be IFR. TMS, works. Alright, let's turn the power on. Let it run through its test. Our temperature. $28 degrees. And 820 TGT. Yep, that's well below our max, so we're good there. We'll arm takeoff. It's set. 82,000 pounds. We're going to be 18 degrees. So we're going to target 89.1 N1 on takeoff, and then we'll go to 88 on departure, and our max TGT for takeoff is set there, and our speeds will be 120, 131. They're bugged here, 120, 131, and is set with the fast slow indicator. So those are set. We can turn the TMS off for now. Nav radios and the flight director. Turn on the flight director. Comm radios we don't need. Let's check the doors. We can remove the chocks. Everything's closed up.
Cabin crew on board and
But
check.
we'll arm the doors. We'll turn the seatbelt sign on. And we'll run the before start checklist. Before start checklist. Safety and external checks are complete. Covers and pins are stowed. Briefing's complete. Brakes are yellow and parked. Pressure and temp is good. Thrust levers, full and free movement. Fuel is off. Hydraulics are all off. Fuel panels checked and set. We'll get those pumps in just a second here. Pressurization is set. Ice detect is on. Lights and notices are set. Air conditioning is checked and set. Fasten belts are on. Fuel is checked. Flight ID is set. Altimeter is set and cross-checked. Master warning system, ground ops is set. Ship's papers are good. TMS, N1s, and speeds are set. Bugs are set. Alright, checked and bug set. So, let's call for pushback. We're going to 9 right. So, we're going to want to push back. Nose right. Oh, don't GSX me. Let me restart Coatl here. DTD. We'll go ahead and try this again. Whoa, look at that. She's haunted.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Get the fuel pumps on. As soon as we get the word, we'll release the parking brake and head out. We're doing a lift push. I keep forgetting to reset the airplane. Let's just do it now before I forget again. Nose right.
Release parking brakes, please. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
All right, here we go. We're going to turn number 4. Got N2. At 10% N2, we'll introduce fuel. We've got fuel flow. We got N2, N1. There's fuel flow. There's light off. We're watching the TGT for a hot start and N1 for a hung start. Acceleration's good. Looks like a good start to me. It's turn 3. Here comes the N2 at 10%. I will bring the power lever number 3. There it is. Turn the fuel on. Got oil pressure. There's fuel flow. There's light off. Still got good oil pressure. It's coming up off the peg.
Please set parking brake. Unlocking gear.
Oh, thanks. All right. Good start. Turning 2. Watching N2. Oil pressure's off the peg. There's 10%. Fuel flow. Light off. Again, watching this for the hot start, watching N1 for the hung start. Oil pressure is still rising. Watching these two and every so often glancing up to oil pressure.
Right is clear.
Looks like a good start. Turning 1. N2. There's 10%. Fuel is on. Fuel flow. Light off. Oil pressure's coming up. If I have one teeny tiny criticism of how Just Flight did this airplane, See how all even all the engine parameters are? They're almost identical. I mean, they are identical. Oil pressure is a little bit different, but all these numbers are exactly the same. It's 4 good starts. Master off, start off, engine anti-ice we can now turn off. Gen 1 and Gen 4 can come on. APU air we can leave on. We can turn both packs on now. Brake fans can come to auto. And the hydraulic pumps, engine 2. So engine 2 and 3 have the hydraulic pumps. Engines 1 and 4 have the generators. AC and PTU. Auto and on. Anti-ice. Detect is on. TMS can come on. Transponder can come to TA. And flaps can come to 18 degrees. 18 is selected. It's pretty cool, huh? You got all those mechanisms working. It's a cool airplane. Jump seated on a couple of them. On one Air Wisconsin and a couple of Masaba. And, but I was very jealous flying around in the Saab that I didn't get a chance to fly the RJ. All right, after start power is norm, start selected masters are off, engine anti-ice is off, generators are on, brake fans are auto, hydraulics on and checked, heaters are on, APU engine air is on, APU air is on, engine air is off, PAX cabin air are on, TMS is set for takeoff, doors and windows are closed, Chuck. She'll get that in a minute. Chocks and ground equipment are removed. Transponder is as required. Alrighty, I think we are good to go. Let's turn the taxi lights on, let's release the brake, and let's head out to runway 9 right. Got brake pressure. Alright, so we're going to head out to runway 9 right. We'll take off. We'll make a turn to the north after departure. And then we'll hook up with that airway, Victor 191, off of the Northbrook VOR. And it's about 160 miles to Green Bay, so not terribly far. That's why we're only going to flight level 160. Kind of a good rule of thumb I like to use when choosing altitudes, especially for shorter flights, is 161 miles, take the 0 off, and that's how many thousands of feet. So a 160-mile trip, about 16,000 feet, and that's exactly what SimBrief gave me. You know, so if it's a 240-mile trip, then you might consider 240 as a good, flight level 240 is a good top altitude. Of course, weather and other considerations might change that, but it seems to work pretty good for me. Checklist. Let's go ahead and have everybody take their seats for departures.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
The flight attendant will come in a second and flip this sign to secured for takeoff. And close the door.
Cabin is secure.
Yep. And look, they closed the door. That's how it happened in the old days, pre 9/11. Normally the door was open as you taxied, and then the flight attendants would come in and tell you they're ready to go and close the door. And then once you landed and got off the active runway, you know, the first officer would reach back and open up the cockpit door. All right, working our way down to 9 right. Whoops. Head was down. That's why in the real thing, if one pilot's got his head down, the other one's got is doing the taxiing. Or if the captain's the only one that can do the taxiing, the first officer is the one that'll go heads down. If it's something the captain has to do, then the first officer keeps his head up, her head up, and either taxis for a short distance or they'll bring the airplane to a stop, depending on the SOP of the airline. There are a few airlines that allow first officers to taxi, but that seems to be the exception rather than the norm. The altitude. Slow it down just a little bit. We've got no traffic running. I'm not running ATC today on this flight. We'll do some more say intentions in the future or VATSIM. I just didn't want the distraction. Because, like I said, I'm still learning this. And yeah, I did it during the AirPack flight the other day, but sometimes I just like to fly and have a conversation with y'all. All right. Lights. Camera. Action. Runway 9 right. I see 9 right. Ready? We're going to take off 400 feet above, so about a little over 1,000 feet. 400 feet, we'll go into our heading mode and climb out at 250 knots. Here we go.
TMS set to take off.
Let TMS accelerate. Everything
Power
I did.
set,
91.4. There's flex. Here we go. Tiller only till 80 knots.
Speed alive, both sides. 80 knots cross checked.
Rudders alive.
V1. Rotate.
Positive rate.
Positive rate of climb, 0.
Heading mode. Vertical speed. I'll bring that down a little bit. So we can accelerate. Bring it down. There we go. Huh. It's not working the way it should. Make that left turn. Bring it back to 88%. After takeoff checklist, landing gear is up. Flaps are up. TMS TRP is set to sync engine air and packs. We can bring the engine air on. APU air off. Bring our heading around. So we head up the lakeshore. We'll accelerate to 220 knots or so. Go up to 89% power. Or 89% N1. About every 5,000 feet or so, you want to bump it up a percentage. Now we'll go to IAS hold. Kill the APU. We can also bring the AC pump and PTU off. And the landing lights can come off. Bring that heading mode over a little bit. IS, altitude hold is still armed. Pretty cool, isn't it? I love that flyby view. All right, through 10,000 now. On our way up to 16. Green Bay altimeter is 3010. To 90. There's a bit of an incrementalism with throttles, and I'm sure that's just a limitation of the hardware and the way the sim interprets the movements. It's not quite as smooth as it is in real life. Alright, all the engine parameters look good. We should be intercepting the course here shortly. We can see how close we are. Yeah, see, we're not far from it. And that needle should be moving to the right slowly. See how the needle's moving to the right? So as we move it towards the course we want, it centers. And we want 347. And the course is right up here. Here it comes. Once it's about to center, we'll go ahead and put it in V-loc mode. And off we go. Alright, just about there. V-loc mode. And then what we'll do is once we're established on course, we've got a nice steady course going, we will re-true up the heading bug. That helps us keep track of, you know, wind drift and you know, what the winds are doing, because then we can compare that against our anticipated winds aloft. And if winds aloft are not forecast then you know there's a good chance that the overall forecast is going to get blown. Since, you know, the winds aloft are what sort of moves weather around and really helps identify where the frontal activity is. 1,000 to go. We're through 15 for 16. So it's just good to keep track of and also if something happens to our nav radios, we know what heading we were on to track that airway or that course. All right, work our way up towards 91%. Again, the TMS, the thrust management system, we're synced to N1. So whatever I have set here in N1, as long as the thrust levers are all pretty close to each other, the system will fine-tune them to match it up. All right, we are beginning our level off. 16,000. On 16.4 is Badger. That's our next VOR. And this airway is, oh, I don't know. $924, probably 50 miles long. So in a second here we can switch over, and then our inbound to Badger. $343. So we'll switch over. So before we switch over, we'll line the heading bug up with our lever line. Go to heading. Switch it. And then our new course is 343. And then we can go back into VLOC mode. Now we're tracking to the Badger VOR, which is the next waypoint. And that's the overspeed warning, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. We're right up against barber pole. I wanted to get close to barber pole, but not that close. So tell you what, let's set our speed bug up at Mach 0.6. See if we can't do that. And the reason to put your speed pointer there is because then you can look at the fast slow indicator, and that will tell you at a glance whether you're going faster or slower than your bug speed. And it can be a little easier to see small trends than by looking at trying to interpret the actual airspeed indicator. Cruise checklist. Altimeter is 3010. The master warning panel is checked. Pressurization is checked. We're right where we thought we'd be, about 1,700 feet cabin altitude. And the seatbelt sign. We'll let him up. So I'm trying to hold the fast slow right in between those two indexes. It looks like our power setting here of about 85.6 on N1 is doing the job. Alright, 15 miles to go to Badger. Our outbound from Badger on Victor 190 or 217. Will be 001. So we'll set the course here to 001. And I'm wondering why we don't get the number 2 DME. Because we should off the number 2 nav radio. I'll have to check that out. Our distance too should also be measured in slant range. So that's 16,000 feet. That's about 3 miles or so. So it probably it should not count down to less than 3 miles because we'll be 3 miles above it. A little less than 3 miles. And when we start getting really close, we want to make sure that our heading bug is synced up with our lubber line, and we can just go to heading mode. Set our outbound course, 001. And as we cross the VOR, we want to start, or a little bit before, a couple miles outside, we want to make the turn. That needle will likely swing right through when we get really close. Because right over the VOR, you enter that cone of confusion. There's station passage. We'll go right to 01. And once we have a good signal, we'll hit VOR loc. And we should then now be tracking it outbound. It's really as simple as that. Just takes a little bit of practice. Now, if I was super smooth, I would have left it in heading mode a little bit longer. We're going to take this all the way up to the Green Bay VOR, 115.5. So let's tune that in. And we can tune it in on number 2. You can also look at our chart. So here's our low chart, low IFR chart, high IFR chart. So the high chart is flight level 180 and above, and the low chart is below flight level 180. We just passed over this VOR, and now we're heading up to Green Bay. So when we're kind of by Lake Winnebago here, when we see that, we know it's a good time to switch over. And the ILS for runway 36, which, yeah, the wind is out of the north, at light winds out of the north, 5 knots, wind 320 at 5. So we'll plan on runway 36. Arrival, approach. ILS 36 will start. So we want to be down to about, 2,200 feet. So 3,000 feet, we'll round it. 3,100 is the MSA around the airport. So that's about 13,000 feet we need to lose. So 13 times 3 is 39. So when we're 39 miles from Green Bay, from the Green Bay VOR, we will switch over, but we want to get up by Lake Winnebago first, and I think I see the south shore of Lake Winnebago here. Yeah, so there's Lake Winnebago. This little town down here is called Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Appleton, or Oshkosh is just north of it, where the famous air show is. And then a little north of Oshkosh is Appleton, Wisconsin, and then Green Bay. I actually lived in Appleton, Wisconsin, along the western shores of Lake Winnebago. Flew for a charter company out of Appleton called MaxAir. It doesn't exist in that form anymore. Quite the same form. Started off flying Barons, then the Chieftain, and then they had a King Air 200. They had two of them, and then I flew the King Air. They also had a Cessna 414. I never flew that though. It seemed like a lot of times the pilots went from the Baron. They either went to the Navajo Chieftain or the 414. But I enjoyed flying the Chieftain. That was a neat airplane. Wasn't pressurized like the 414. But I think it had bigger engines. Anyway, sort of similar size airplane. The Chieftain seemed like it was a little bit bigger inside. But fun plane to fly. But we would do a lot of, a lot of summertime. Well, a lot of the businesses around that part are, there's the Neenah Foundry, and then a lot of paper. Kimberly-Clark is a big company up there. So we flew to a lot of other places that were involved in the paper industry and lumber. So a lot of chartering up to northern Minnesota, Virginia, Eveleth, Minneapolis. It was kind of fun. It almost felt a little bush piloty at times, flying to those little airports up in the middle of nowhere in northern Minnesota. It's stunning up there. International Falls. Did quite a few flights into Canada, into Thunder Bay, which is sort of on that northwest side of Lake Superior. But I also had some nice long charters in the King Air. We did one in New Orleans, I remember. Did one to Ithaca, and then Messina, New York. I did Teterboro once in the King Air. So it was some of the most fun I ever had flying. It was a blast. It was from there I then ended up going to the airlines. Getting a little fast here, a little faster than I want to be, so I'm going to bring the power back just a little bit. We're right up against the barber pole. It's still a mystery to me why I'm not getting a DME off of 2. So the DME hold is an interesting feature. A good example of when to use it is when you have a VOR on the field and you have an ILS that does not have a DME. So what you can do is you dial in the VOR, you put it on hold, and now when you change the frequency, it retains the DME frequency that it's using for there. So when you change it to the localizer, you'll still be getting the DME to the VOR. So as long as that VOR is on the field, that's helpful, because now you have your distance to the field, even though you're not directly tuned into the VOR, right? So that's the purpose of the DME hold. But yeah, really useful. That type of usefulness is getting a little more and more rare with RNAV approaches and such. Oh, we also have a compass outer marker, De Pere. I forgot about that. So that's an NDB. So 332. We can tune that in. 332. Make sure you are on ADF, which is the direction finding. And we should start to pick that up as well. Actually, let's put it in on number 2. That way we can put our RMI on ADF for number 2, and let's see if we can pick it up when we get a little closer. I'm guessing, yeah, there's Lake Winnebago. So now let's switch. So let's line up our heading bug with the lubber line. The Green Bay VOR is 115.5, so we can switch. And we're right at 30 miles, so we can go back to VOR loc mode, and we can start down. So let's start down to 3,000 feet. We'll go to vertical speed, and we'll dial it down. Try this again. Down we go. Vertical speed. Our descent briefing, we're going to be doing the ILS to runway 36 at Green Bay. Altitude is armed, so we can not pay attention for a second. Localizer frequency is 1099. The outer marker is 332, is De Pere, which is a little town south of Green Bay. We'll intercept, we'll descend to 3,000, we'll descend to 2,700 when we're getting close to the outer marker. We'll plan to cross the outer marker at 2,200 feet, and then our minimums are 884 feet or 200 feet above sea level, above the ground. It's a nice day, so we'll probably see the runway plenty far out. If we do need to go miss, climb to 1,400 feet, left turn to 2,500 feet, direct to the Green Bay VOR, which will leave in the standby frequency, and we will hold as published on the 325-degree radio. Our speed for landing, we'll do a flaps 33 landing with a ref of 117 knots. I'll open up the speed brakes as we cross the threshold and then dump the lift once we touch down. Any questions? Excellent. We are picking up the outer marker. Can't hear it. I was wondering if it would play the Morse code. In the real world, you want to if you're using an NDB for navigation, you want to listen to it, because the signal could die, the station could die, and you may not know it because the needle might not move. And actually, we're not receiving it. That's not proper movement. Oh, actually it is. Yeah, we're a little high. Alright. I didn't start my descent quick enough. So, what we'll do is we will go to heading mode. That's what happens when you're vectoring yourself. We'll go to heading mode and we'll just do a little box pattern. So we'll turn left to heading 270. We'll continue the descent on down. Slow it up. 10,000 feet. Landing lights on. Go ahead and everybody take a seat.
Cabin is secure.
Inbound course will be 002. So we'll just fly this little box pattern out. Now we'll turn south. Go ahead and turn on the APU. Now we can use that outer marker to help orient ourselves too. So we know if it's right off our left wing, we are abeam the outer marker, which is at the final approach fix. There's the airport back there, so it's out here somewhere. So we'll let it get past behind our left wing a little bit. Now, I am not going to use the hold feature because the Green Bay VOR is not located on the field. It's, I don't know, 10 miles north of the field? Not quite. Maybe 5 miles north of the field. So it's not particularly useful. It's not needed on the approach. Altitude is armed. We're still doing good. In fact, we can bring our vertical speed up a little bit now that we're getting pretty close to the ground. I like to be at least 2 or 3 minutes away from impact at any given point.
Flight slips alive, 1 dot to go.
That was a little bit of a premature call. How's it gonna go? Out of 4 for 3. Let's go ahead and turn left. Heading 090.
$2,500.
$200. And then just before the NDB is off our left wing, we'll make the turn inbound. We'll intercept at a heading of 030. But we want to get it almost off our wing when we do. Slowing it up. Let's slow it to like 170. Let's call it 160 for now. Make it a nice, easy number to see. Power's at idle. APU air is coming on. We will turn
Speed
off
checked below 205.
anti-ice.
Select flaps 18.
Flaps 18.
Speed check below 205. Select gear down.
Not yet. The NDB is about 20 degrees off now. So we want to turn left 60 degrees. So we want 030 to intercept the localizer, so when we're about halfway between, or about 15 degrees, I'll make the turn to the left. There we go. 030.
Localizer armed. Glide slope armed. Localizer captured.
Let's keep it slowing. We're at 140 knots. Here comes the localizer. Glide slope's alive. Runway's in sight. I don't know why we got the pitchies here. There's one dot. Here's coming down. Rough speed is about 120 knots.
Autopilot disconnected.
Alright, we're gonna stop that
Glide slope captured.
nonsense. Glide slope captured. Let's bring our power back. Flaps 30. Bring our heading bug around. Again, we want to kind of have an idea what heading to fly. Although I do have a good visual. We'll go to flaps 33. Before landing checklist. Landing gear is down, 3 green. Flaps 33 set. Brakes are checked. We have good pressure. Airframe anti-ice, de-ice is off. And air supply is set. The engines are not providing air, just the APU is. So that way the engines have as much power as possible available. Let's get back on the glide slope, get back on the localizer here. A little fast. There's the outer marker. It's displayed here on our little status annunciator for the autopilot. And we just got station passage on the ADF as well. Let's get over there. Stable, sync 900. Bassie's in sight.
Established on the ILS.
Smidge low. Boy, the glide slope needle the flight director needle just took a huge jump. It's weird. The glide slope indicator is showing me right on. There we go. Now it's back. Now we're red, too white. A little bumpy.
500.
Check. Clear to land. Get a little high. 3 white, 1 red.
plus 100. Minimums.
Landing. Bring out the speed brake.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10.
Oh, this new yoke.
Reliable.
There we go. Still getting used to the Moza, folks. I gotta fine tune it some more.
Brake pressure seen. 80 knots.
The terminal's towards the end of the runway here, so I'm in no hurry to get it
60 knots.
stopped. Go ahead and retract the speed brake, bring the flaps up. We are below 60 knots, so tiller steering only. Welcome to Green Bay, everybody. Air brakes and spoilers are on transponder. We'll bring the standby here in just a second. And the gates are literally right there. Transponder standby. Flaps are up. Radar is still in standby. TMS we can turn off. Air conditioning is set. Ignition is off. Lights. We'll just go right here. Where am I going? A5. Let's see if... It's still loading. I didn't get the stutter on landing, though. That's a very good sign. He says as he gets a stutter right here. Yeah, I know. I know. Never mind. Those are the taxi lights, by the way. Alright, let's just bring it to the T. And we'll shut her down. Come on. Scoop. Set the parking brake. APU air is on. APU gen is on. And we will let them up and shut them down.
Heading 3, full command and touchback.
Hydraulic panel. Turn it off. Should have put that in the ground mode. Hydraulics are off. Fuel is set. Gens 1 and 4 we can turn off. Put an off and reset. Engine anti-ice is on. Thrust levers, fuel off. Seatbelt sign is off. Exterior lights are set. Heaters and ice detect are off. And air conditioning is set for now. And we can get the turn the beacon off. Or no, I can't. That's odd. For some reason, can't turn the beacon off. So I won't. And the arrival time is noted. So there you go, folks. We've wooed women and cheated death once again. In our little British Aerospace 146 here in beautiful Green Bay, Wisconsin. Quick flight up from Chicago. And that was fun. That was fun. Those are exactly the kind of flights this airframe was meant for. And hope you enjoyed it. Hey, do me a favor once again. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments. What do you want to see next? Got some exciting things planned. Some more MD-11 action coming up soon. If you didn't catch the video I did earlier this week of the newly updated CSS 737-500, you can catch that. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you next time. So I'm CJ. I'm your Classic Jet Sim pilot. Keep the shiny side up, and we'll see you next time.